Hey y'all, we come in the name of the source. You heard me?
And the ancestors are looking out for us. God Hayes is exposing them, man.
Okay, you see that chair right there? See how big it is?
Yeah.
Now look at the Pope chair under it. Scroll down, look at the Pope chair under it.
Never have it been made so clear.
Young TV. Young.
We running the game right now.
Young TV.
Time to take over.
Young
We the hottest in the game. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. If you just not tuned in.
TV.
Share, like on your Instagram, Facebook.
Young TV.
If you tuned in, we broadcasting live from 2030, baby.
Young TV. Young
Taking over the game, baby. Oh yeah.
Young TV.
Hit that like.
Young TV.
Get them likes up in the air, you heard me?
Young TV.
Ride by. Hotel Islam.
Young TV.
Assalamu alaikum. Flown letter.
Young TV.
Hit that like.
Hey, peace and love and harmony. We about to get ready to get it cracking. We got Phase One backstage. Shout out Sunrise in the building. 9 Guard NT coming soon. Right? Hey, y'all. We about to go in for real. A lot of this stuff might go over your head. People don't really know about the Rosicrucian or the Order of the Rose. Like I say, we put tapes out a while back, and we was putting a whole bunch of tapes out, but we started to get certain types of warnings from you know who, and we had to change our format back up, go back to the Galactica shit, man. They don't like them type, they don't like these tapes, but we're gonna keep this one clean. You know how Faze do it. He do his thing. So it ain't gonna be nothing crazy that they ain't gonna like. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna keep it clean. Hey, shout out where you at though. Tap into where you at, man. We gotta build this web. Let's build this web. So when Faze come on stage, we already had a web so that where you at. Harlem in the building. We got Atlanta. We know Atlanta in the building. Right? North Carolina, Brooklyn, Chicago, east side of the west side. They say the west side, the best side in Chicago. Florida, right? Detroit, Motown. We got Birmingham in the building. We got NY, New York, upstate New York. We got Peace, that's Florida. South Carolina, where you at? Jackson, Jackson, Mississippi. Brick City, what's happening? New Jersey, what's happening? Savannah, what's happening? Miami, what's happening? Right? Spring Hill, Florida, what's happening? Right? Fresno, Cali. Hey, Sacktown, Sacramento. You heard me? We building this net. Right now, we the hottest in the game right now. Hands down. We the hottest in the game. Who else is doing it? Who else is putting out? We the only, if you go look up on Google, Black Extraterrestrial Documentary, we the first one to put one out. Ain't nobody else putting them out like we did it. You know what I'm saying? Black Extraterrestrial Documentary. Hey, shout out Pensacola, Florida. We've been there. Shout out Compton. Compton for my C's, Bompton for my B's. You heard me? Shout out 305 Miami. Yeah, so we doing certain things that's like the first time it's happening. So we sending them in the shock. People on they saying, oh, those are not real people. Well, the people who hit interest, those people are from beyond the stars. The people that's from beyond the stars, it's gonna resonate with them. Now, when we put out the Natharu tape, some of the stuff we already put out, a lot of the stuff we already put out already about the Natharus, about how they connected with the Hindus and how the Hindus came into how you say it, the Afar and the Somalians, all them mixed with Hindus, right? And keep in mind the Hindus brought in the Nagas, the Naga worship, the dragon worship, the reptilian worship, and this goes on into these 200 fallen. They went to Indonesia, then they went into the Asian areas and mixed in with the people and brought the dragon worship with them. And then they even come over here to America and brought the dragon worship over here. Well, the Chinese actually how it got over here is it got taught to Hoshin them by the Natharus. The niggas you call the Natharus, the Nagas, it's the Nagas become the Natharus. They mixed in together. We'll get into that on the Natharu tape, like I said. But these beings bring in the reptilian worship. And then they take that reptilian worship all around. And they took it into ancient Kemet, where now the bloodline even wear a cobra on their head. You talking about this upper and lower Kemet. No, it means the Go'us, the Nagas, the Natharus, these reptilian beings who lived on the planet. Well, actually, the Natharus is not just the Nagas. They're a mix of different species, advanced species, a melting pot type species. But what I'm saying is that Naga species is in there. That's why they got the long necks. And these Nagas lived on a planet called Bagabuti, the second planet from the Proconian star. But they come here. They serpent beings. And one they serpent and humanoid beings, and they control the planet, and they live in the center of the planet. And not all of them are just snake, like slide around snake type. Like some of them are human all the way up until they face. They show pictures of these beings breastfeeding. These reptilians can breastfeed. They can, those Nagas, those beings are connected with the Natharus, the reptilians. That's why you go into ancient Kemet, you see all these cobras. And then you go pull up a being named Wajet, the goddess Wajet, who is Ra's daughter, who was part Dragonian or part these beings, these Nagas beings. Because they mix with the Dragonians too. The Dragonians and Nagas really are different. The Dragonians are another, because different beings, these reptilians, once they migrated from this, I don't want to get too much into it, we'll do another tape on it. But once they migrated from this galaxy to different galaxies, they took on different forms and they got different names. But they origin from Mildek. Mildek got exploded. But some of them beings escaped and came here, and some of their genetics was used to re-engineer more species of reptilians on Tiamat. And then some of them got, during the calamity, some of them got taken to Cyrus. And some of them became known as the Nomos. And then another group, they migrated, like I said, to Bagabuti and became known as the Nagas, or the Nagas, niggas. Yeah, it becomes niggas after a while, right? But they told that when they came, they said that we're going to come back. They told the people we're going to come back and we're going to look more human. And keep in mind, if you read in the Holy Tablets, we got that in the link by the master teacher, right? Dr. Malachi Z. York. If you read them in the Holy Tablets, he'll tell you, right, that these beings, that Inky's mother and them was, if you look at her dad or Inky's granddad on his mother's side, he looked more reptilian looking, Nomos looking. They really were Dragonians, right? And then his daughter, who Anu married, looked more humanoid looking. So reptilians were mixing with humans. Like this shit might sound, but so you got a reptilian gene, you got a reptilian brain, you got all this reptilian parts. You got to have water. in 9 months, I mean, when the father shoots the seed into the woman, it's a tadpole, and it goes and lives in the egg. The master teacher I put a tape out called reptilians and human DNA and reptilians connected. It's like the reptilian DNA is in humans, because it was 20 during this project. It was 23 different species that were used to make this being. You know what I'm saying? To make this being. So it's like you got the plant, the bird, you know what I'm saying, the reptilian, the humanoid type. We got more humanoid than anything, but the reptilian gene is there. The gray extraterrestrial gene is there, because if you look at a baby in this 3-month stage, you will see the gray reptilian. Baba already pointed it out, right? We got phase 1 backstage. He said give him a couple minutes, right? He got to get set up, and he'll be on. All right. So yeah, we're just talking about that though. We're gonna go into more in depth, but to make a long story short, those Nagas come here to Earth eventually, and then the Tharus were it's a more upgraded species from the Nagas. They more humanoid looking. They mix with Anunnaki. They mix with like the humanoids that's here, like some of the humanoid species that's here. Hey y'all, now I'm bringing to the stage the hottest in the game, the #1 guy, man, that's on the internet right now. Phase 1.
What's up? What's up?
Hey man, hey, what's going on? Man, this is a good one right here, man. Now, because some people spooked out about this topic. Some people saying, "Man, how could he possibly know anything about this? He's 25." Some people saying, "What?" Like the Illuminati. Even I saw a picture in the third eye of these beings in all black suits, and they sitting around watching this shit right now, seeing what you're gonna say. Yeah, because they. So we'll start by with the first question. Then we'll get into some questions, because I know you like to get it popping with the questions.
Let's do it.
Hey, before we get started, damn, I forgot. Let me do this right now, Phase, because I got sidetracked.
Yeah, it's all good.
Phase one got 10 books, y'all. Now the people's, like he said, he lining them up, and we get so many sales, so you got to bear with us. You're gonna get your books. You know what I'm saying? Because we get comments. Hey, we got here we go right here. We got to blow this. Where's my flyer? You guys to be kidding me. Hey, took the flyer down. All right, we'll come back to that. Well, it's somewhere on here. It's just probably in a file or a folder. Somebody probably slid it over. But phase 1 got 10 books, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna have that clip. Y'all already should know, the ones that been following us. He got the 10 books right now for donation to the Play for Change Cash App. Right, we're gonna post it on the links for you. If you want to get those 10 books, what you do is just Cash App him at Play for Change. Right. Any amount of donation, you would leave your emails in the links, right? Make sure you leave your emails if you want to get the books, right? Because we ain't gonna know you want to get the books if you don't leave the emails, right? Any amount of donation to that Cash App, Play for Change, PLAY, FORCHANGE, right? Most of y'all already know. You've been following us. We're gonna have it pinned it, and right, we're gonna be posting it in the comments every 5 minutes for the guys that follow us. Now, let's get to that first question, Faye. Now, for the newcomers and the beginners that never even heard of the Rosicrucian, never even heard of the Order of the Rose, could you go in to break down the root of what is the Order of the Rose? What is the Rosicrucian? Go ahead.
Righteous. So I prefer the science just because of the decoration. I prefer the science of Rosicrucianism over the science of masonry, even though they go hand in hand. We've already broken down the science of masonry, but it's all basically the same thing. It's just one is more, in my opinion, decorative. It's about ascending, right? So you got different levels in ascension with the most basic sciences that we know about. You have your solid, your liquid, and your gases. Okay, to go from a solid to a liquid to the gas is the scientific ascension process that we can all bear witness to, which is why I tell people to do something as simple as go get a block of ice and put it in a pan and turn up the heat. That heat is information, right? That heat is a type of energetic exchange that transfers over, all right, allegory-wise or analogy-wise, to the spiritual exchange that comes from somebody giving you pieces of information that you may not have known, or light. Okay, so the only difference between the fire and the light in that regard is whether or not you know to identify it as one or the other. So you might call one light or nor, or you'll call another one esh or nar, all right, which is fire. So you have light and fire, which both of them do the same thing. Okay, so depending on what area of time you were in or what time period you were in, some people might have referred to fire as just fire alone, but also fire as light. And other people may have been experiencing things like the chariots of fire, where they thought that these crafts were flying through as fiery chariots, except they didn't know that the type of lights that they had, whether it been plasma or whatever, we got the lights we have now with the LEDs and all the stuff we have access to, they would not have known what types of light it was. So all they knew was there was some type of element in their reality that yielded some type of transmission of light, and they called it fire or esh. You understand? So they may have said chariots of fire, but what they really meant to say was that there was something that appeared with the same type of light that this iMac computer or your iPhone or Android or laptop, whatever, had. The same type of light that the television has. You understand? That yields, or the normal lights that you put in your homes yields. You understand? So they'll say that it's fire, but it's because it's letting off light. Either way, in a dark room, whether you walk in with a torch lit or you walk in with a flashlight, which both of them are doing the same thing. They're a conductor of some type of energy, allowing for the energy to be transferred to a certain degree, literally, that allows for heat to be present, that lets people be able to see that are in that room. So if you walk in with light, you understand, you can effectively help people see. Now watch this. You can also come in with a light that is more false and less neutral. All right. So there's fallacy involved in it also, because you come in with a red light and then the whole room appears to be red, and people are asked to describe the color of the things that are present and they're not able to. You can also walk in with a green light and the whole room appears green, and people are told, can you describe these things? And they can't describe it other than the type of reflection that they're getting from the source itself, which is the green light reflecting off of everything else. So it'll affect how people are able to see the reality. The point is, though, without the light, people can't see anything. You understand? So you would have had to already have been familiar with whatever your environment was in order to be able to determine what was happening in that realm at that time. If someone were to walk in a dark room and ask you, explain to me what you see. You understand? Which is why I explain in a Masonic order, when you come in, you're first blindfolded. You understand? Which is signifying your ability, which all of you have, and everybody has been utilizing to a certain degree, to walk in faith and not by sight. Because most things you don't know. That's why people say, even once you have gathered a piece of information, you have to know that that information is only being reflected onto you based on the time period or whatever the source is. So that could change with the next day's event. You know what I'm saying? So everything you think you know now, everything you knew about science yesterday could change the next day. You know what I'm saying? It could be different today. All right. So because things are dark, which means unknown, and the sacred orders, darkness means unknown and light means what is known. Okay. You have to be aware and cautious of the fact that just because something is known and brought forth as light doesn't mean that whoever is the one who's bearing that light is bringing you the truth. You know what I'm saying? They can still bring you pieces of that truth with omission, all right, that leads you a certain way, like in the book of Genesis, when they gave them the truth of the fruit of the Garden of Eden, but they didn't give them the whole truth of all of the things that would end up happening to them after they broke the law that was laid by the Yahwehans or the Lord God Elohims in that story. You understand? So the whole point of the Rosicrucian order is to encourage ascension, all right, and to remind every man and woman that is here as a human being of their own mystical devotion, okay? Because you have to be devoted to the mystics to some type of degree in order to ascend anyway. And you also are reminded of something referred to as the magnum opus, which is the great work, okay? And you are reminded that that great work doesn't just take place individually. Like Malachi York put out the affirmation, and the affirmation that we had was saying, I could succeed as a part of El Kalum, all right, the all, and fail as an individual, okay? So everybody has their own individual works, yes, but this work that you're working together to build, okay, is a part of a grand work that is much more greater or much greater than yourself. You understand? So think about the stories where you say, who built the pyramids? All right, and a lot of people think of what they showed us in school, where all of these people came together to build one pyramid. Okay, but then you have stories where Tahuti said, built I the Great Pyramid, him himself. He said, built I the Great Pyramid. Okay, are you able to pair the two and see what they mean? you have one situation where multiple people are coming together to do a grand work. Did we get to right knowledge without the most honorable Elijah Muhammad? Did we get to right knowledge without all of the masters who came before Malachi York, or all of the teachers who came before Malachi York, or all of the people who did the works like the Noble Drew Ali? No, everybody had their own brick to lay. Okay, now Malachi may have very well been that capstone, okay, or the stone that the builders refused, because you have that in the book of Acts. All right, there was a stone that the builder refused that the brother who came through with the boondocks was explaining to people, right, with the theme song, I am the stone that the builder refused. All right, that stone itself may have been the Age of Reason stone that they put on the Georgia Guidestones when you go and look it up. Remember, everybody cheered because the Georgia Guidestones were destroyed. And it's very important that you know that the Georgia Guidestones were said to have been put up by somebody named R.C. Christian. All right, what does it sound like phonetically? R.C. Christian, Robert C. Christian. When we say R.C., you're saying Rosicrucian, Rosicrucian. And he wanted his actual identity to remain a secret. Okay, and when he went in and had it set up, he told them, don't ever tell anybody who I actually was. Okay, but on top of those 4 stones, which were the Georgia Guidestones, they had 8 different languages that they had these messages being sent on, which were 10 principles, similar to the 10 commandments, all right, of the first 2 pillars that they delivered to people through Moses. Okay, and on that top of that structure was a stone, a capstone, literally is what it was referred to, a capstone that said, let this be for, or let these stones be for, guide stones be for an age of reason. You understand? Who was the one who pushed forth reason? Sound right, reasoning. Everything happens for a reason. All right? The one who amplified the science itself of determinism, Dr. Malachi Z. York. Are you with me? So a lot of people may have been cheering when those guide stones were torn down, only because they were under the impression that the guide stones were set up by the Church of Shaitan, which is still Illuminatis, except you have to remember there are 2 pillars associated with Illuminatis. There are 2 pillars or 2 types of conductors that are associated with light. You have the ones who carry the darker lights, okay, or the amber light, and then you have the ones who carry the greater lights, all right? And this is where you get into the purpose of Rosicrucian. The greater light carriers, and those greater light carriers or torch bearers come with the emerald light and above. All right, so you had 2 groups of beings, 2 teachers, 2 conductors that will come through and do certain works. So you have to decide which works were yielding which reality. So if you have a reality, when you go and read those Georgia Guidestones and you read what they were really saying, they said they wanted people to live together in harmony. They wanted to maintain a certain type of population, not saying that they wanted to delete anybody. They said they wanted everybody to come together in one language. They said, look after the earth. Don't take too much. Don't take more than you need. That doesn't sound satanic to me. That doesn't sound like Set in them to me. That doesn't sound like Baphomet in them to me. That doesn't sound like Baal in them to me. It sounds like the ones who wanted things to be in order, which brings you right back around to the original conductor, the one who first held the conductor, the first conductor, which was what? The pen, who is none other than Ta Tahuti, or the opener. All right, which is why in the Rosicrucian rituals, you have somebody that's referred to as a conductor, okay, that leads you through certain chambers. All right, how many chambers come into question or come into answer? 9 chambers. All right, and remember, you go read the Emerald Tablets, even Tahuti himself in Tablet 9 broke down the number 9 and how these 9 circles work. All right, so when you have these 9 chambers, think about it in terms of your color spectrum from black to white. From black being the first one. All right, then you go red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Okay, which means you went all the way up to 8 levels. And then you get to that 9th level, that 9th chamber, that 9th house, which is the white. Okay, which is referred to as the holies of holy. All right, or holiest of holies, or holy of holies. All right, what are you saying when you're saying holy? You're saying wholesome, holy, whole, full, complete. All right, and if you go and look up what the number 9 was in ancient Kemet, you will find that number 9 was the symbol of the percentage of 100%. All right, saying something was complete. Are you with me? Or full. So when people think of a cycle being complete in terms of your numbers and how your realm operates, when you go from 1 to 9, all right, you have to say that that's a complete cycle because you start over with a newer version or a newer lineup of numbers that came before that 9. All right, so you say 10, which is only 1 plus 0. You say 11, which is only 1 plus 1. All right, so those are not really numbers in all actuality. Those are combinations of numbers or compound numbers, right, that come together to create the illusion of a new number. But in all actuality, you were only given 9 numbers. All right, unless you were to count or factor in the cipher point or the circle point, which is the 0, which again, that's only speaking about a beginning or an end or a new beginning. That's why I gave people the code. I said, we're in the 9th hour. We're in the big inning. People say, what do you mean we're in the big inning? This is the 9th hour. That must be the last hour. No, we're in the big inning. If you listen to what I'm saying, BIGINNING, big inning, like baseball. And how many innings are there in baseball? You understand? So you got your 9 innings, and with that 9th inning, you're in the big inning, which is the beginning, which is the big ending. Okay? Because every time you start over at that 9th point, there's something new being yielded if you're speaking truthfully as far as your numbers go, because you cannot go further than white. Are you with me? You go up to white, and then it starts over again at blackness. If not, then you have nothing else that you can go beyond with. Even though, again, speaking in terms of Rosicrucian order, there would have to be more than 9 chambers in all right? It says that the truth of the Holy of Holies says that there are 9 chambers. And the same thing with the 3 degrees of masonry, which is very important, because when you're saying there are only 3 degrees, we have your Enter the Apprentice, you have your Fellow Craft, and you have your eminent, or your most eminent one, the M&M, the Master Mason. Okay, after that, you can continue to go on and act like all these other degrees are to be taken on and considered and all this stuff. You go over here with the Scottish Rite, the 18th degree. You can explore Masonic, Rosicrucianism. You do all of that. It's just that, did you understand what the 3 knocks were about? Did you understand what the 3 levels were about? When they said you had to die, did you know what that meant? If you read the book of John, chapter 2, verse 19, when he said, destroy this temple, Jesus was the one who said, he said, Jesus answered and said, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will what? Rise it up. Raise it up. Okay, again. All right, so if you're saying you're going to rise something up, raising up, rose up, okay, Rosicrucian, rose up off the cross, then remember that in that 9th hour, Jesus, Yeshua said what? He said he gave up the ghost. They said he gave up his ghost. Okay, on that 9th hour, where was he at? Supposedly on the cross. Are you with me? Now, it was brought forth that the cross is not what people think it to be, even though if you were to go into the mystic tower, you can see the shape of the T, which is symbolic of the torch. All right, because when you were holding the torch, it looked like a T. Okay, and even if you go look up the Georgia Guidestones, you will see the shape of the T in the center, right? So you're holding this torch, it looks like the T, and that T allows for the light to be there. Okay, so you're saying a torch bearer starting with that T. Okay, but when you were talking about the cross in Greek, you said stauros, and that was speaking about a pole or a suspension device that went straight up and down, which is why people think that Jesus was supposed to have been crucified on a tree or a pail or a pole. Are you with me? So this is all speaking about conductivity. Your spine is a conductor. Are you with me? So in all actuality, in order for there to be some type of conductivity in science, there has to be something to source from to allow for that energy to flow, okay? And then the emission of that energy comes out from whatever the conductivity allowed for that energy to exist in. You feel what I'm saying? Which will be metal, fork, whatever. You can use whatever type of conductor. You know what a conductor is. Even water will be a conductor. Are you with me? So what's my point? Out of the darkness into the light. Going out of the negative into the positive. And when something is charged, it becomes lit up. And there's a glow that comes from it. All right? So when you rise up off that cross, you go to that point where there's a meeting point or a neutral point, which is called a crossroad. Remember the Bow and Thugs and Harmony? Meet me at the crossroad, right? Or see you at the crossroad, right? The crossroad is speaking in terms of literally that G or that green point or that chi point that everybody has to reach, where you decide, yo, we have to gather here, which they refer to as the assemblage point. Okay, something is an AP for short, the assemblage point. And that assemblage point is where everybody gathers together. All right, go read the book of Ephesians chapter 2, verse 5 specifically, where it speaks about a quickening. And in order for you all to be gathered, and why am I saying that? Because you look at what the Ecclesiastes word will bring you to and Ephesians will bring you to. We're speaking about bringing people together. You understand? So you had a gathering point, the assemblage point in the heart, Ephesians 2.5 or 2 chapter 5. And when people gather together, they're making a new sound at that point, which is where you get into the blue, which we ain't got there yet. But once you get up to that point, they said that there was somebody there present that was supposed to have been leading all of the nations, all right? Which they spoke of the male child that was supposed to be born that was able to lead all the nations. Okay, Revelation 2 chapter 27, they said somebody leading all the nations with a what? A rod of iron. And a rod of iron is a conductor. Are you with me? So that same rose or that cross is something that is used to channel energy and information. And then once you become a greater light carrier, All right. You yourself as a torchbearer can go around and somebody else might have just a piece of stick with a wick in it, but you can put your torch to it and set theirs a flame. And now they're lightened up or enlightened. And they can go around and carry out the same works. You understand? And start bringing other people together. And with this type of work, you need so much light in this reality. You can't afford for one person to know the secrets. You can't afford for one person to know the sacreds. You can't afford to even just hold the sacreds back at this point in time, especially when there is a new pyramid that needs to be built. All right. If there's going to be a new heaven and a new earth, all right, which we'll get into, where the brother Bedell and I were going to go and we're going to break down a new heaven and new earth, right? So we get into a new heaven and new earth. In order for there to be a new heaven and a new earth, that means all things have to be made new. That means you have to go back to the center, all right, which was your civilization, the beginning, the main point. And you have to understand what all of that was about when you get into the Central Intelligence Agency, all right, or the CIA. What are you saying, Faise? I'm saying clairvoyant, initiate, adept, CIA, Central Intelligence Agency. And if you think in terms of a pyramid, which is where your first civilizations were laid with the pyramid structure, all right, with that capstone at the top, that pyramid may appear as a triangle to you, all right? But if you were to look at it from a higher view or an eagle eye view, all right, or from an ibis eye view, if you listen to what I'm saying, it doesn't appear as a triangle when you're facing it. It appears as a square, all right? So that square has something that links in the center, which is the capstone. And each line, the 4 lines, all right, which will really be 2 lines crossing, but the 4 lines or the 4 faces from that center give you the 4 pillars, all right, or the 4 corners. And those 4 corners represent something. What do they represent? In the Rosicrucian order, we taught this. Fire, or it's really in order, earth, air, water, fire. You understand? So you have your earth, air, water, fire that you have to understand before activating, which is that master, like they call the 5th element, that master element or the spirit element that the Wiccans teach about. Okay, that if you don't understand earth, air, water, fire, you won't be able to activate that true light. Okay, so you have to go back to the beginning or the center to understand what that intelligence was about. So if you look at it from the square view instead of the pyramid view, you'll find that it's a cross in the center. And if that capstone, which would have been at the top of the pyramid when you were looking at it from the ground, is the center of the pyramid when you're looking at it from above, then you understand why we say pyramid. Because Pyrrha was fire, Pyrrha, fire. Go look it up in Greek. So if Pyrrha is fire, then what is the mid? It's to say the center. So if you go look up literally the etymology of pyramid, you'll find the central fire. The only way that fire would have been in the center is if you were looking at it from an overstanding and not an understanding. Okay, so once you're overstanding, you're looking down at that pyramid, now you get it. Okay, that's the crossroad. So when they say Yeshua died on the cross, this is why Malachi York brought out the science and said he was on top of a pyramid. You know what I'm saying? He said, that don't make sense. It won't make sense if you're standing under that pyramid. But when you stand over that pyramid and look down, you will see Yeshua in the center, all right, of that pyramid, which would have made him the light of the pyramid or the capstone, all right, or the orb. And you will understand what it meant to lay down his life. And not only to lay down his life, but what he said, my life is mine to lay it down and to take it up. He was teaching you the science of the pyramid. That's why I told you he learned the sciences of the pyramid in ancient Kemet. All right. Now, why am I tying this to Egypt? Because Rosicrucian masters or class masters will teach you themselves. All right. If you would ever find yourself near enough to learn from them, they'll teach you themselves. All this comes from ancient Egyptians. You know what I'm saying? The Rosicrucian order didn't come straight from the Bible alone. They reached farther back. Okay, and started to deal with the science of the Sphinx, what they call the riddle of the Sphinx, which I think should have been referred to as the mystery of the Sphinx as opposed to the riddle, because a lot of this stuff was being spoken and uttered. It's just that, did you understand what was being said? That's what makes it a mystery, okay? Because if we say you're not going to be able to walk past this to conquer this degree or conquer this chamber without having understood what the earth is, or without having understood what the air is, or without having understood what the water is, or without having understood what the fire is. If I say that, it sounds good, but what does it mean? So as an initiate, you were supposed to be asking the question, well, what does it mean of the earth? Oh, this means the foundation of what does it mean of the air? Oh, this is the spirit of the information. What does this mean of the water? Oh, this is mean how much fluid you, there were certain breakdowns that came with you walking through the chambers. And when you finally got to that 9th one, you had to enter through what was referred to as the pause of the Sphinx. Are you with me? And when you enter into listen to what it sounds like. We say Sphinx. What does it sound like? Because you got that a part of your body. It's referred to as a sphincter. You understand? And if you're going to look up what the Sphinx word meant, which was Sphingian, okay, the Sphingian word meant to draw something tight, all right, or to bind something. Now, if you draw something tight, another way to say that is to say to squeeze a thing. And that's what the sphincter had to do in order for you to send energy up your own conductor, which is your spine. It had to squeeze. You had to squeeze your sphincter to be able to shoot that energy upward. Okay, to activate the cell. When there was an ejaculation or an orgasm, the ancient ones used to do exactly that. They would squeeze their sphincter and use the energetic yield and send it straight to the throne, all right, or straight to the crown. They would use that to build new worlds. That's where they started. That's what Malachi even explained. He was like, yo, he said, I visualized Tamaray. Before we built it, he said, I already saw this. And there was a great assemblage, a whole group of people that came together, are you with me, to build Tamaray. All right? But you will still look at it and say, who built Tamaray? Malachi York. That's why I said, do you understand what's being said when you're looking at the two? Okay? Because there is a work of the self, for sure. In order for you to be an adept, you have to understand the work of the self. And I'm an adept. What do I mean by an adept? When you say adept, you go watch the TV show Man Who Fell to Earth. They had the ones that were referred to as the droids. All right, I think they said droids or drones. Which one? I think it might have been a drone. It's been a while since I've seen it. I think they had but the key word was adepts. It was a drone and an adept. And the adepts were the ones who were able to really travel and do all these extra works. You understand? So when you're saying the word adeptus, you're saying somebody has received something. He who has received a thing. And if you haven't received the tools, and if you haven't received the sciences, and if you haven't received the passwords, then a lot of these people get on here and say, yo, this means this, that means that. They don't know what they're talking about. The only way you could really know is if you were standing there in front of the class masters, or in front of the masters, or in front of the worshipful masters, or in front of some master, which means you had to have humility enough to say, I don't know what any of this means. Can you show me the way? All right, can you show me to the light? What we spoke about last class, we went over the direct. Direct meant the way, and Zion meant what? The heavens. Show me the way to heaven, direct Zion, direction. All right? If you didn't have any direction, then you don't know what you're talking about. So if you're an adept or an adeptus, you've already received the tools. And as an adept, listen to it how it sounds phonetically. You can add depth. Now you can add depth to what's being spoken of. You might have heard somebody speak on Rosicrucian, but when Faise comes and speak on it, you say, wait a minute. He's adding that to, I'm an actual adder. I can look at the train station or the airport, and we could both be standing there. We both looking at the train station, the airport, or the bus station, whatever, and looking at all these vehicles moving around and planes flying and trains going through, and each and every one of us can behold it, okay? But as an adder, I can tell you the blueprint of the train station. I can tell you the blueprint of the airport. I can tell you the blueprint of the plane. I can go and build a plane. I can go and build an airport or have one built. Okay, I know what it takes to make the airport move as an adept. You, as just a speculative, okay, or somebody that's watching, or a foreigner or an eavesdropper may not know until the adept comes and shows you, say, look, you got to take this brick right here, right? Take this mortar right here, spread the mortar, put the brick here, make sure it dry, carve this off, make sure that's smooth, and then now what? You can build a building. You feel what I'm saying? So if you're looking at the rest of these buildings, which is what people are doing, they're looking at the realm around them, okay, then that's what the average person is going to do, okay, which means that you're walking around blindly until somebody brings that torch and puts the light to what you're looking at and say, did you really know what that meant? Okay, how long did it take?
Hey,
go ahead.
Man, I got a quick question right there on that, man.
Let's do it.
Because I, like I said, okay, so do research of the 200 gigis or 300 gigis and anarchies. On one hand, the anarchies, I don't know what they was teaching. Well, we can get into some of the things they were teaching the humans, but it mostly was just working, right? Like digging for gold.
Yep.
Then the 200 fallen came down. They started teaching how to lay brick and how to cut brick and how to make swords and how to do all this, like some of the stuff that anarchists considered bad. They didn't want that. They want the humans to learn how to use a sword or, how to fight, defend themselves like that. Because it wasn't really no use because they was just workers.
Right.
They didn't want them to be able to fight and do this. So from your perspective, based on that, were these guys good guys or bad guys? Because if they came to teach the humans how to be self-sufficient and how to cut themselves off from and teach them how to be adults, like you say, right? the 200 fallen really, even though they probably some of them taught a lot of bad shit too, like some stuff, you know. But I'm saying like some stuff that from my perspective that would be bad, but for the most part, they taught them how to build. They taught them how to be adults. Like the Nomos, when they came, they went against the Anunnakis, and they said that we're gonna teach these people how to grow food, and we're gonna teach them how the stars move. And Anunnakis didn't want that. So based on what you just said about the adult and the drone, so it seemed like the Anunnakis wanted them to be drones, while the 200 fallen niggas was trying to make them adults. Now, what's your take on that? Now, because you can say, okay, they was the Anunnaki children, and it's like a grown up. It's like a grown up teaching your kids some grown up shit that you don't want to know yet, and you got to step in and say, "Hey, nah, back off my kids." It's like, hey, so what's your perspective on that? Yeah, go ahead.
I would say, for one, I know we would like to think about it as in good or bad, saying, you know, there was one good side and there was one bad side, but in all actuality, again, when you get this information, you can do whatever you want to do with it. When you get the light, you can do whatever you want to do with it. So whoever these Anunnaki were, all right, when you get into what it means, Anunnaki, saying children of Anu, who came down to what? Ki, Anunnaki. And all we were saying was extraterrestrials. That's what a lot of people get confused. They say, what's the difference between the Anunnaki, the Elohim, the Neteru, even some of the recent ones who coming out now, the Sabians, are saying that ain't the same thing. Listen, if you don't know what and who you're speaking about, then you might as well say Anunnaki. If you don't know what and who you're speaking about by name and by face, if not somebody else would have told you, right? If it weren't for them telling you, you wouldn't know who you never met these people, then all you're really saying is people that were not from your planet, okay? Extraterrestrials or overseers. How is it somebody gonna be an overseer that's coming from outer space and then from Earth? You know what I'm saying? So they were saying the Jaru were people who came to the planet, overseers, Neteru, Elohim, Anunnaki, whatever. These were people, okay, or guys or deities, divas, whatever you want to call them, who had their own abilities, their own sciences. All right, I was speaking to one of the brothers in the temples, and I said, don't think that Malachi York came here by himself. He told you in the temple of I Am Hotep, they say, I'm not here by myself. He said, but don't play like you one of us, because we already know who we are. You understand? So the brother started saying, he said, you should know then how to answer certain questions if you're a visitor. Right? Now, look, he's only saying that because he was told to say that. Right? So he started asking certain questions, say, what direction do the pyramids go in? And all this other stuff. I said, let me ask you a question. Do you think everybody who is in college is going to graduate and do the same thing? Do you think everybody who goes to high school is going to graduate and go to college? Do you think everybody who goes to high school is going to graduate? All right? You have visitors who are physicists. You have visitors who are biologists. You have visitors who are archaeologists. You have visitors who are stewards or guardians of the sacreds or safeguarders. Not everybody is going to have the same job. It's just that some people think that if they get this little piece of information, say, well, then everybody should know the same thing. No, family, you wouldn't know that unless Malachi York told you that. So that was for you. All right? However, we're guarding and looking at and paying attention to the works and making sure that the works continue on. Whether you want to acknowledge somebody as a visitor, that don't mean anything. We'll do the works of a visitor whether or not we were from the earth itself. Are you with me? So when these beings came through with the information, it was like they could do whatever they wanted to do with it. If they're going to use these people as what they refer to as a slave race, all right, then they're going to use them as a slave race. That's where the war between the Lemurians and the Atlanteans took place some 12,500 years ago, where the Atlanteans were saying one thing, the Lemurians were saying one thing. One side was saying, yo, let these people evolve. Let these people learn, these human beings learn their own way and get their own sciences developed and become their own great civilizations. And another side was saying, hell nah, these people are only good for servitude. Okay, let them serve us. We're the guys. We got all the information. We got all the power, right? We got all the technology, all right? We've been here longer than them. They don't know. Let's let these people serve us. And the war took place over that alone. Like even when you go and read the book of Genesis chapter 6, you have to ask yourself, if the God was looking down on the planet and decided that all these beings had become so wicked that he had to destroy everybody, then why he decided to save Noah? But then you're going to realize that that story came from an ancient Sumerian story, right? Where they were speaking about a being called Utnapishtim, all right? Or Utnapishtim. And Utnapishtim was saved by Enki. Enki told him how to get up out and what to do to be able to evade or avoid the destruction. Enlil said, destroy everybody. So maybe Enlil will go down in your stories as an evil person. Why? Because it's a destruction. People think destruction, they think evil. You know what I mean? They think so. Destroy somebody. He want to destroy everybody. He must be evil. Or you human beings do get too out of control. Because every time somebody sets up a project to try to help you, whether it's religion or whatever, guide you back toward the light, somebody amongst you comes up and say, we don't got to do this, y'all. Let's go back to the darkness. And you follow them. You understand? I know it's the sun cycle, but let's go back and be up under Baphomet. I know it's a sun cycle, but look, remember, we got Sophia over here. Let's listen to her and let her lead us back to the darkness. You know what I'm saying? With Sophia meant Baphomet, if you didn't know that. Okay, if you don't have my books, I explain that in the book, Out of the Darkness. You understand? Which was used by the Atbash cipher. When you break Sophia down with the Atbash cipher, you literally get Baphomet. You understand? So we give you light. These people come out of nowhere. They say, let's go back to the darkness, and you listen to them. Why? You understand? So sometimes human beings got out of control because you're this is a new creation. So every time somebody tried to step in and help, you know what I'm saying, they got out. So what was the point? And Lil said it was too noisy, which means their frequency was off and destroyed them. So if you look at the world today, was he wrong? When you look at the creation today, was he wrong? Is not this creation out of control? Have we not sent messenger after messenger, warner after warner? You know what I'm saying? Messiah after Messiah, and they killed them all. They've imprisoned them all. They turned their back on them. They spit on them. You know what I'm saying? Anybody who decides to take up their cross and walk in the light in broad day as a target amongst all these devils who run this world, all right, the greatest and the lowest of the devils, what do people do? They shit on us. They say they don't need us. We just need to lead ourselves. And then we pass away, and then they want to venerate and try to act like they cared about our presence or us being here. So they were saying this creation wasn't worthy. Now, I'm not saying it's not a worthy creation. What I'm saying is it ain't like they was tripping. Because if you were to behold from an ascended master standpoint, how these people are acting and what they do, the works of human beings is evil. The nature of human beings is unraveling to be evil. You'll wipe it out too and try to take the few that you could, okay, to try to start it over. Now, look at it like this. If you had one God saying, yo, destroy them, and another guy saying, let them live, or let this few live and we can save their race, okay, why did they put it in the book of Genesis as one God? Why did they put it in the book to say he wanted to destroy them, then he saved Noah? Because it was perfect in his generations. You understand? So my point is there were two different groups that had two different deeds and two different works. And at any given time, Enlil could be a destroyer or a builder. And at any given time, Enki could be a destroyer. You want to choose a side so bad. You understand? I know it feels good to. You want to choose a side. You say, I think Enki is the good one, so I'm going to go with them. Because you think they ain't going to blast you to smithereens. He said, I think Enlil is the good one, so I'm going to go with them. Because you think maybe if you do their works, then they won't get, listen, none of you mean anything to them. You understand? If you know who we're speaking about and what we're speaking about, you mean nothing to them unless you're of use. That's going to be a rude awakening for a lot of people. All right? Unless you're of use to them, you mean nothing to them.
Talk to them, Faye.
Of beings. Because what do you have? Listen, if you look at your own government, if they were supposed to save any of you from a destruction that was coming, let's say that Kim or what's the fucking name? What's the name? The Putin, whoever. Let's say one of them niggas said, fuck it, tomorrow at 7 p.m. we launching all these nukes. Ain't shit you can do about it. Right? The U.S. ain't going to go and grab Tommy from down the street or Tyrone, Keisha them. They don't need them unless Tommy or Tyrone or Keisha is a physicist or a quantum physicist or a neurologist, all right, or a neuroscientist. Or they need something. You got to give us something. Archaeologists. What do? And if you don't do anything, if you have nothing to offer, then you ain't nothing but dead weight. They say, we got to save this doctor. We got to save the people who, when we go to this new world, we can rebuild a civilization. They ain't going to save people for no fucking reason just because they like you or because you're a black person. Are you with me? So a lot of people think, oh, that's our family. Inky and it was our family. Listen, they don't know who the fuck you are. That's why a lot of people were saying that they would walk up to Jesus and say, yo, didn't I do this? And they say, I never knew you. You ain't never contacted me. I don't know who your family is. Yo, who is this? Who's man's? You get what I'm saying? Because you done spiritualized some shit thinking that just because somebody is an ascended master, that they know everything that's happening on the planet at one time. No, bro, they don't know you. So the point, I mean, I'm not trying to be harsh. It's just the reality. So even though people would want it to be a special situation where you calling all these names and thinking that they give a fuck about you, they said they were going to be elect few. And if you ain't a part of that elect few that they decide to save, if they decide to, look at how dangerous this situation is, that people even would want to believe in it without knowing what they're talking about. They don't have to save anybody. Human beings are not a necessity. Go watch the movie Planet, the day the Earth stood still. And you'll get what I'm saying. They say if the earth dies, everybody dies. All life on it dies. You know what I'm saying? But if the human beings die, what? The earth lives. They don't need human beings here. All right? So if they speaking about God or whoever these beings are who have these powerful weapons, they can decide to save some people, or they can decide to spare some people, or they can decide to destroy everybody, erase it, and start over, replenish it like they've done millions of times over. It's for one, it ain't nothing but an experiment to them, and it might have seemed like a long time for you, but this ain't been nothing but 5 minutes in the works. You know what I mean? It's like you grab a pencil, you write some shit out, and say, fuck, I fucked up the A. And you scratch the shit out. You know what I'm saying? So my point is, it's not like, it doesn't sit on one side, good or evil. All right? They got some people who think human beings are a waste of space. You got some people who look at you and say you're going to be much greater. Go read Al-Quran. Iblis was like, fuck that. These niggas is worthless. And Allah said, I know what you don't know about these beings. All right? So you got some who believe in you, some who don't. Okay? The question is, do you believe in yourselves? All right? Because in order for you to be worthy of being gods or adepts, like they show you the man who fell to earth, are you going to take into consideration the condition of your own world? Because that adept, okay, cared about what was happening in his world. So much so that he was willing to travel the galaxy to save it. Niggas won't go down to the grocery store to save their household. And put food in their children's belly. You know what I mean? So do you care about yourselves? Do you consider yourselves worthy enough? And if you do, you got to start learning to see each other as a part of a whole. And each and every one of your works have to come together. Now, don't get it misconstrued, because people say, what are you doing, Faise? I thought you was going at like every single body that call themselves a leader, because they're not doing our work. They're doing a different work. And only those who bear the torch will be able to differentiate between the works. You think these people to be doing the works of the magnum opus that will be bringing light to the world, or the greater light. It's very important to remember that it's the greater light, not just light to the world, but these are Luciferians. And they have no care about the future. They care only about themselves. You know what I'm saying? They're selfish. And that selfishness does not yield a new, stronger world. What you got for me? Let's play.
That brings up another question, man. Because I told people about the Luciferians. They infiltrated. So, because like people say, when they hear about the Order of the Rose title, they're thinking that, oh, it's automatic evil. Because of the Luciferians, they infiltrated everybody's order. And they do evil shit inside of that order, so the whole organization get looked at as bad. But now now I breaks my next question. Now, the way these people feel, the useless eaters is one thing they use. Useless eaters, lazy for nothings. They got a whole bunch of terms that they use. Elites. This 1% of guys. Now, seems like to me they thinking from an extraterrestrial standpoint, like you thinking. Okay, so let me ask you this. Okay, so we eat chickens. Chickens probably use what 4% of their brain. That's what they tell you. About 4% of their brain. Humans use, they say 10%, which they actually use more than that, but they'll just say 10% is what they put on record. Now, humans eat chickens. Humans eat chickens.
Right.
Now, these elites that's eating that's eating the children or whatever.
Yep.
Now, why do you think that they look at being that they looking at it from an extraterrestrial standpoint, and the 1% as they're just human, or they just food or source or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So why do these people think like that? Why do they think like that? The people that's a part of this order, that's up higher up, that we just I can't say we, because I don't feel like I'm part of that mass. I ain't part of the masses. I ain't part of the masses. I'm telling you. Yeah. Hey, why do they feel like they can think like that? Why do they feel like they can? Humans ain't shit. They just, humans ain't nothing.
Because they right.
Go ahead.
It wouldn't have been possible if they weren't right. You know what I mean? That is, listen, you could be dealing with somebody and say, man, you ain't shit. It don't mean they got to stay like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't got to stay in that state. You say, bro, you don't care about anything. You can change. You can alter. That's what Pop said. You got to learn how to care. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You got to learn how to care again. Learn to care. But people don't want to care. They think of it as just something to say, if I'm going through this, I'm going through it. If I got to eat, I got to eat. All right? Which is why you can have movies which are actual representations of life, like Hunger Games.
Right.
That's all this shit is. You starve a people for 3 days, especially a people that haven't come in contact with the science of fasting, okay, and observing fasting or observing the Sabbath or observing what it means to be patient and kind and to have love and to think beyond just what your carnal desire is or your primitive nature is. Please, you take food off the, remember what happened with the tissue, with the pandemic and people pushing over each other, think they couldn't wipe their ass, which, I mean, when it's coming to hygiene, that's a good thing, I guess. But the point is, people think lack and they start turning into animals. You understand? They think for a second they can't have something, and their brain, it's really, a lot of it isn't their fault. Okay, the only fault is they haven't made the decision or the choice. There's a power of choice, okay, which I spoke about in my TED Talk. They haven't activated that power of choice. They activate that choice and they'll decide, wait a minute, I don't have to respond like this just because they say we ain't gonna have food. You know what I mean? Remember through 2020, 2021, 2022 on Clubhouse, when every month there was a new food shortage scare? Remember they had niggas stocking food up every month. They said, y'all better stock food up, here it comes. The next month, y'all better stock food up, here it comes. Niggas was just grocery shopping. That was like, they were doing what they would have been doing normally. You know what I'm saying? They said, get your non-perishables. All that shit probably been eaten up and everything by now. Just like, what you gonna do? Just leave it there? The point is, right, if people feel like they're gonna lose something, they start turning into the most demonic people. That's why if you look at the end of the world movies, in the times where human beings, where you start figuring out on the precipice of change, you know who people are, right? When people are challenged, that's when you start looking at who they actually are. If you can look at how all these end of the world movies show that when people are challenged or faced with adversity on a grand scale, that's when they become more aggressive. That's when they become more demonic. You see, it's always civil unrest or anarchy, all right, that comes after something like a shutdown, which is why if there was a CME or a solar flare that shut down your transformers and you had another Carrington event from 1859, right? If there was something like that was supposed to happen right now, your world would end. Not because of the sun, but because of you. You human beings would end your world. It would not be safe for you to walk your own streets, not because of some ultraviolet rays or some charged particles. No, because of you and your own nature. You understand? The one who you just looked at as your neighbor and your friend. All right, love your neighbor. All right, there will be violations of the commandments all over. Look at the movie Purge. That's 12 hours, not even 24 hours, 12 hours of lawlessness. And look what people will do when they don't feel like they're going to be held accountable, when they don't feel like they have to try to push down that animalistic nature. So think about it. You needed religion because without religion, the streets wouldn't be safe at all. Because it's people's fear of hell that stops them from being a murderer or a rapist or all these other crazy things that people are doing day in and day out, that you have the smaller accounts or these little situations that happen over here and that. It will be more. It will be a lot more of it. So they're right. They're right. And they're right to seal themselves off and look at themselves as higher only because they've taken advantage of the information and the experience of being a human being. And guess what the elite do? That's what you're really saying. It's not necessarily that they have an extraterrestrial point of view. It's that they have an elite point of view. Okay? They've risen up off that cross. They're no longer in the lower worlds. And they haven't been for a very long time. What do the elite do that the commoners don't do? They think about the children. They think about their future. This is what I spoke of in my book, How to Speak Elite. That they make sure that the children go to the same schools, private schools. The children become a part of the same lodge or houses if there are any associated with them. The children donate to the same churches and organizations and attend the same churches and organizations. You know what I'm saying? They make sure everybody is growing together to build whatever their new world is. You won't see it because it happens behind the scenes, the private sector, but they'll be building that private world or that dark world together. You understand? So if they're wrong, prove them wrong. If they're wrong, prove them wrong. What do you think will happen right now, though? If they're wrong, what do you think will happen right now if they did the purge and they said for 12 hours, nobody that commits a crime will be persecuted or tried or any of that? Everything is open season. What do you think will happen in your own neighborhood if they're so wrong?
Often stuff that you ask me, I say every single devil in hell will be crawling out on that joint.
Exactly.
Man, it would be safe nowhere.
Exactly. So they're right, family. It's just that until human beings change the condition that is within themselves, they're not going to be able to change the condition outside of themselves. And the ones who are the overseers who sit, and overseer don't mean good. That's another thing. Elohim don't mean good. The Tarot don't mean good. Anunnaki don't mean good. You got to stop it. Y'all trying to find other words to replace the word angels. And even angels don't mean good. That's why I tell you, Revelation chapter 12, Satan had angels too. You get what I'm saying? Angel don't mean good. It means good. And good is only based off of the work of the moment where it comes to the one who's emitting and the recipient. You know what I'm saying? Or the receiver.
Right. That's right.
All
Go
right?
into it.
If I can do something good for you, I can hand you some water because you're thirsty. Or I can, what do you call it, flogging? You know what I'm saying? I can pour water on your face and make you choke and sputter. You understand?
Or give you vinegar instead of water, just like they did. Yeah, sure.
Right, but what if I give him, what if I write this down in the scripture and say, and he gave him water?
Yeah,
You say, oh, that was good. But what if I around this nigga,
right.
put him, and he gave him, and give him some water. You know what I mean? You watch the movie and he give him some water. You know, somebody walking past, say, oh, that's so kind. This nigga they're dying. You know what I mean? So it's just the point. You want it to be good and bad. That's not how this works. It's just light. You know what I mean? God could go evil tomorrow. Don't say I made it up when he said he create peace and evil. You know what I mean? The one who you think God is could be evil tomorrow. I could go evil if I choose. Everybody has the choice to do that. You feel me? So these beings who have way more light and technology and information, what do they owe you if you haven't even proven yourselves worthy? Now they set up orders on the planet to see if certain people could be deemed worthy. You know what I mean? Rosicrucianism is one of those orders that's reminding you about the most ancient of sciences that come from the beings like the Sphinx or Tahuti and all these other things that said is about building the self up, finding the light inside of you. The kingdom of God is inside, or the kingdom of God is within. The light of the body is the eye. Learning about that light that operates inside of you. What you saying with the Sphinx, you saying Harem, all right, Harem Aket. All right, you say Harem Aket, what does it mean? Heru rises, roses. All right, or you're also saying Horus in the horizon. So if you look at the horizon, you're looking at a cross or a crossroad, and that sun has to come up from that crossroad. All right, that means you have to find that Horus or that sun in you. Why is it important? Because of this Heru in the horizon. Heru isn't always in the horizon. All right, the word Heru or Heru itself means God of the sky. All right, which we have the Anum, Atum, Amun. It's different levels, okay, of what that light will do in reality, which is the sun itself or the greater light itself. So you gotta find that light inside of you, that solar inside of you has to be able to be burning in order for you to identify with the light outside. And then once it burns, this is where you get into where you say the Rosicrucian, people think Illuminati, is because Rosie gives you red. You go look up Rosie, you find red. And when you think of a rose, you think red. And you go look at the pictures and images of Jesus Christ, okay, or Jesus Cruz, all right? You can find it there. Heru Cruz, Jesus Cruz, Rosie Cruz, Jesus, Roses, Rhesus, Rises, Isis, it's all the same thing. Zeus, okay? He comes with the red light when he's pointing to the heart. That's a false light. But remember that the image of Jesus Christ was a false image to begin with. You know what I mean? Because it would have never been a Caucasoid. Everybody knows that, should know that. So if they were saying, oh, it doesn't matter, there should have never been an image of Jesus Christ as a Caucasoid. And that would explain to you why Malachi York said that was the image of the beast, because they knew for sure they weren't supposed to put out that fallacy, but they still did it, and they made sure that that light was painted as red. Okay? Which is why I told you the green light is where the center is. Okay? Where the two seas meet. Moses parts the Red Sea. Al-Qadir shows where the green one is and above. Those are two staffs, two scepters, two rods of iron, or conductors, two different conductors with two different oils or illuminated oils. Flip the word oil around and you get Elo. O-I-L, you get Elo. Two different Elos or Elis that come with two different messages. And one is teaching about the science of a certain world, and another is teaching about the science of another world. You understand? That becomes beyond the world that you've been given of the light of illusion. Are you with me? So people have their own choice. If you're supposed to be much greater, then you have to be much greater. If you're supposed to do greater works, then you have to do greater works. Just walking around claiming that you're doing it don't mean anything. What you got for me?
Okay, yeah. So the next tape we're gonna do is how to speak elite, but I got a question on that too. Yeah. I gotta get that tape about how to speak elite because it's a lot of questions I got on that. But I'm gonna yeah. All right. So a chicken, like I say, the chicken from the chicken perspective, they might look at us eating them as bad. We bad guys because we eat them, right? And you know, it's like vice versa with the extraterrestrial. But all right, so let's just say, and this right here going to speaking the glee. Now let's just say that the chicken could speak English,
right?
And if the chicken can say before you have to kill him and pluck him and shit and fry him, he can say, "Hey man, I got wife and kids. Why you want to eat?" Yeah, the chicken can talk and say, "Hey man, I got wife and kids. Why you want to eat me?" You know what I'm saying? He can kind of like touch your heart because he can speak your language.
Yeah.
He can speak your language. And would you want to eat a fucking chicken that talk like that after that chicken say, "Hey man, all that shit"? With an average guy still say, "Fuck that, I'm gonna eat you anyway, chicken." You know,
right?
So it's like that chicken can speak their language, and it's like the same thing Master Teacher was doing. We're trying to get us to speak the Nuwapu because it ties in to be able to speak these people's language. These some of these extraterrestrials who come here. If we could talk to them, and they wouldn't look at us different. They would look at us a lesser like we look at a chicken. If a chicken can speak English and talk to us, I say, "Damn, I'm not fucking." I'd be scared the fuck out that chicken. Matter of fact, I probably take off running if the fucking chicken still talking. Right, I get the hell up out of there. So it's like these extraterrestrials when they come are the elites, the Rosicrucian people that's in the elites that speak this elite language. If we could speak their language, maybe they would look at us different. Should you go in on that? On that perspective?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I say language of the Illuminati, okay? Because the language is dealing with, we go back to the book of Genesis, chapter 11, where they find chapter 11, verse 8 and 9, they speak about the language itself and how because the human beings at that point in time had one language, okay? They were unified in their tongue. They said nothing was impossible for those people, okay? And whoever those beings were wanted to, at that point, confound their tongues and scatter them all abroad like we spoke about in the classes prior, right? Why would they want to do that? Again, those are guys of confusion. But the point is that language, it doesn't mean that they necessarily spoke English or that they spoke Portuguese or that they spoke Spanish or French. It meant that, look at it like this. There's a language where no matter what language you speak or whatever tongue you come from, you can still understand what's being expressed, okay? And a part of that language is emotion. All right. If you walked in the room and encountered somebody who spoke French only, all right, but they was throwing shit around and stumping niggas into the ground and, you know what I'm saying, breaking shit, you might think he ain't really having a good day. I'm not saying you would, but I'm saying I would think maybe he ain't having a good one. You wouldn't ask him, "Yo, you having a good day?" You would be like, "This nigga pissed the fuck off." The same way you walk and see somebody dancing and lolly-dying around, twirling and shit, you might think that they're having a good day. My point is, that's what's referred to as body language for us, but there's an emotion that's associated with body language, okay? So in that same degree, you can speak of science, okay? Because science doesn't lie. No matter what language people speak, if you were trapped on an island with somebody who spoke Spanish, somebody who spoke French, and you didn't speak any of those languages, you speak English, you know those two people have to eat. They know you have to eat. You understand? You know they have to drink. They know you have to drink. Because they have to drink, they have to eat, or they would have never survived to the point of being trapped on an island with you. You understand? So the science doesn't lie. The science doesn't care about how you feel. All right? You can call it gravity or density. Jump your ass to the moon right now. Say gravity is fake. Okay, whatever the fuck you want to call it because you're using English, whatever word you want to use to call it, it's just density. All right, well then density your ass up to the moon. Okay, the phenomenon is still real, silly geese. Okay, so if the phenomenon is still real, it don't matter what you call it. Do you know all the inner workings and outer workings of that phenomenon? Because the one who knows more about the inner and outer workings of it has an advantage over you. Okay, when it comes to the propulsion and the buoyancy and all this other stuff that happens with the density that you're speaking about, whatever it is, if you don't know those sciences, then the person who knows the sciences, they'll be able to survive longer. Okay, not only just survive, thrive, advance to the point where, listen, if a nigga got $30,000, he'll be all right for a year. But for somebody with $30 trillion, they don't even have to have a conversation about anything else for the next 40,000 years. They family, everybody is straight to live and thrive for another 40,000 years. Think about what I'm saying to you. You understand? Where they have access to all these resources. It ain't even about money anymore at that point. You get me? So when you have enough of the information to be able to thrive, it's like the little things that people concern themselves with don't matter. All right. So then you have an advantage because of the science that you possess. That's a language. You understand? Now, again, there are certain tiers to language. You got people that speak English, and you listen to a nigga that's speaking English, you still don't know what the hell the nigga saying. You know that shit? Taking your ass out. Hey, son. He's like, what? There's no way this nigga just said a sentence. But it's 30 niggas standing around, and everybody understand what he said. You the only suburban ass nigga don't know what he said. You feel what I'm saying? And in the same degree, you could come speaking with correct English or have a certain type of vernacular or vocabulary that's extensive, and you walk into a corporate America room and it's a nigga that's from the hood that's walking in. He don't know what none of you are speaking about. You understand? He can understand anything you're saying. Okay, well then, y'all both are speaking English. Y'all both speak English, but there's a certain degree of understanding that's lacking or present. That makes all of the difference. It's the same thing with science. There are certain people who know more sciences than others. So that language is science is what I'm telling you about. When you come together with science, there's a knowledge that's present. That means you don't have to believe anything else. You don't have to speak this person's language. You don't have to agree with them. You don't have to like the things they like. All you know is the reason why you're able to get along is because you're not trying to trump over each other. All right? And you're not trying to deprive anybody of anything. You want them to be able to ascend. Okay? And if they're not ascending to the levels that you're ascending, you still look out for the basic necessities of life when it comes to these people. That's how they're able to get along. You understand? That's one language. And that's what they say, yo, our enemy ain't each other. Whoever these guys or these elite are, that's our enemy. All right? Or we want to be like them. Not even that you got to see them as an enemy. We want to be like them. Let's build this tower and let's get up out of the material plane, or let's rise up out of the hara. Okay? We got 3 houses or 3 H's. Remember that. All right, which is your head, your heart, your hara. Hara will be like the base or the bottom, the belly, okay, the lower locus or the lower world or the lower self, whatever you want to call it. Okay, let's rise up out of here. Let's take this rocket or this pole or this ship or this spine and let's rise up. You know what I mean? And whoever those beings were who didn't want that to happen, they came down and confounded their tongue. But they decided, Nimrod, listen to the word, Nimrod was over the whole project. And said he wanted to help these people ascend, literally, out of the gates of confusion, which was a place called Babel, all right, or Babylon. So out of that tower or that rod of Babel was supposed to become clarity. And they were learning through that science how to build these portals or these stargates, all right, or these rockets, whatever it was that you would say, allow for them to literally travel, all right, up out of hell. Are you with me? So some people may not be familiar with certain sciences, some people may. But once you get it and you realize, you say, well, we can take this block, like Christ said, let's go back to it. Or Jesus said, we take this, you can try to destroy my body, all right, destroy this temple, because people thought he was speaking about a temple, he's speaking about his body. You can try to destroy it, but I'm going to build it up in those 3 levels. I'm going to rise up out of the hara, I'm going to go past the heart, and I'm going to get up there to that throne. Remember, Revelation chapter 21 spoke about somebody sitting on a throne. And go look at what Isis or Isis means. It means a throne. That's why I gave people the code about noetics or Gnosticism. All right, when you say noetics or noeen or noesis, you're speaking about knowledge. And if you say noesis, when people like the Jehovah's Witnesses come to your door and say, do you know Jesus? They say, do you know Isis or Isus? And if you know Isis or know Isus, what do you say? I am the 1, 2, 3. I am the truth, life, way. 1, 2, 3. This is the basics. Everything goes back to the basics. Because even to speak on the 9 chambers, all right, they speak about 3 times 3. 3, 3, 3. All right, pyramid, pyramid, pyramid. Foundational, foundational, foundational. And once you get it, you say truth, life, and the way. Once you have that, you can make it to the Father. He said, nobody will make it unto the Father but by me or through me. So once you know Isis, all right, or know Isus, you can get up there to that throne. Remember, Isis or Isis means throne. Okay? So that's what the whole purpose is about. You get how it all ties in? What you got for me? Let's go.
Hey, look, man, that's good right there. We're gonna come back on that and go in more detail on the next class called How to Speak Elite. Because right. I'm thinking my question pretty much was, it's like if you could like that chicken can speak English, we wouldn't eat them. But so if we could speak elite, they wouldn't do what they still do what they do to the lower people if they could speak their language. You know what I'm saying? If they could talk, but they still pars in their deodorant. All the deodorants parser. all the damn products they got on the
It
shelf.
depends. Think about it. Most people that's eating the chicken ain't killing the chicken.
Right?
You know what I mean? You just eating the chicken. Most people that's eating it, you ain't the one that's going out. You got to actually strangle the motherfucker, break his neck, and all this other weird ass shit, right? Let me tell you something. If parents told their children that chicken were actual chickens, that when they sat down at the table, they were eating living beings, okay, that have been slaughtered and killed. If parents explained that to their children, 90% of the people who grew up eating chicken would not have grown up eating chicken, because I was 4 years old. This is a true story. When I found out that chicken was real chicken, I didn't know. It broke my whole heart. I said, wait a minute. Wait. Hold the fuck on. This is chicken? He said, I thought you knew it was chicken. Like, no, wait. No, this is chicken. Like the little chickens with the thing on their head and the little feet. My mom was like, yeah, I thought you knew that. It broke my heart, bro. I was mad for real. My mama will tell you that she right there, Pharaoh clan. That's my mama. She'll tell you. Bro, my heart was broken. I couldn't believe it. I said, how could you do this to me? You know what I'm saying? You feeding me alive people, chicken, because that's what we see them as children. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. For a long time, I couldn't eat it. You know what I mean? Now, of course, they were still eating the shit, so I wound up still eating it in time. But if you explain to children what chicken is and what cows become beef, and instead of just giving them food, and they think it's just for the nourishment of our bodies and yum, bro, explain to children the process of how people or beings or chicken or cows or deer or rabbit or duck, and the niggas eat every motherfucking thing, alligator, you know what I mean? If you explain to them how they were slaughtered and killed to be prepared, children wouldn't eat it, because children come in here loving animals. That's why animals ain't afraid of children. You'll see a deer walk up to a child and play with it. But they running from you, then they see you coming down the block, they say, run. Why? You have to ask yourself that question. Why do deer run from human beings? Right? You didn't slaughter that deer. You ain't shot none of the deer family members. No, they have a visceral awareness that human beings don't have, that's passed on for generations. So flee from these beings when you see them, because there's a lot of you who have gone out for fun, loaded up a gun, and killed people. And why am I saying people? Because that's who the deer are. They are beings. They are people. You just don't want to look at them like that. They have emotion. They have fear. If they didn't have emotion or fear, they wouldn't run from you. They want to survive. Don't tell me it doesn't mean anything when they get to trying to duck. They get to bob. They do the same shit you do, but they get to up at you. You know what I mean? But when we speak on this in the news, say, damn, this is fucked up. Niggas out here killing niggas for fun. So are you. Didn't you just go hunting last week? And they were doing the same thing. They bobbing and weaving through trees. You bobbing and weaving through cars. You know what I mean? Your family members ducking. They family members ducking. And what's worse, you got people that'll kill them, cut their head off, hang it on their wall. You know what I mean? Then a nigga walk around talking so he got stripes because he done killed your homeboy and you mad. Right? Now, of course, there's different levels to degrees of how much is associated with caring for your species. Yeah, I get that. But at the same time, it's your not caring that's separating you from the divine order. Because the divine order would say, there's no reason for you to kill this deer. You got all this real meat, which is the plants and the vegetation that you can eat and survive off of. So my point is, it ain't necessarily that even the ones that you eat the chicken, you ain't kill the chicken. But just because you learn their language don't mean that they finna spare you. Just because you speak the language of extraterrestrial don't mean shit. But a lot of them don't speak a language. A lot of them don't speak. Do y'all know that? A lot of these beings don't speak. A lot of these beings are advanced reptilians that never needed to speak because they only dealt with the higher senses to begin with. Don't think that snakes aren't telepathic. If you ain't ever literally looked at a snake and saw them seeing you, those beings can hear your thoughts. All right? Those draconian beings of your planet can hear your thoughts. Look at these beings, you can tell. If they had the same arms and legs and hands you have, all y'all be in trouble. You understand? So it ain't that you speak their language and they give a fuck about you all of a sudden. No, you still look tasty. You know what I mean? You got certain beings that they come and they hunt on planet Earth the same way you hunt. And that's why Pop was saying, don't make a big deal about it. You hunt the animals, they hunt you. Why you say? They come out in a movie called Prey, Prey. You should watch it. Or you dealing with the predators or the predators, the ones who've been here before every motherfucking body, the niggas with the locks who go around just killing motherfuckers for fun or eating them. Okay, it ain't fun to think that a nigga could be sitting in your house looking at you all day. You done got ready for bed and everything. You basically got dressed up and marinated for them. You done took a shower. You know what I mean? This nigga's, he walking you through the steps. He guiding you, opening up the door for you. And you don't know how this motherfucker could be in your house because they got quantum stealth technology and invisibility, all kind of stuff you just now figuring out as human beings. They've been had. You feel what I'm saying? They're more advanced than you. You won't win against them. The same way the chicken can't win against you. We can't even fly. Look at you. You know what I mean? Targeting a motherfucker that can't fly. Right? So it's what it is, family. It's just that people would need to care more to grasp these types of things. All right? Eventually, we got to stop doing this anyway. Eventually, people going to have to let go of all of the slaughter mentality that was not supposed to be our mentality. You know what I mean? You're not supposed to kill these beings. That's why I was just talking to, you know what I'm saying, one of the sisters today. I said, what if the beings that they killing is supposed to hold certain things in order? Like, what if there have to be a certain amount of chickens for certain things in your reality to remain stable? What if there have to be a certain amount of deer for certain things in your reality to remain stable? You know what I mean? What about this instability that could possibly come because of certain beings going extinct and you're causing it to happen? You feel what I'm saying? It's just a lack of awareness and a lack of care.
Yeah, like I say, with the trees, like they study, like it's mostly though the it's mostly the Caucasoid was chopping the trees down. You know, we got to have a certain amount of percentage of oxygen in the planet just for humans to survive. And the trees make that, you know, that connection with the transferring of the carbon, you know, and the oxygen. Right. So like it's like have these elites, these Rosicrucians, these 1%, have they sided with the like the extraterrestrials or whoever it may be that's running the planet? Have they sided with these guys and say, okay, yeah, we got to get rid of some humans. We got to get rid of these humans. Yeah, these humans, if we don't get rid of them, they are overpopulating. They destroying stuff. They offsetting the planet. So would it be safe to say that they are they working for the reptilians? Are they working for who are they work? Who is the order, like galactical wise? Who is the order of the roles or the Rosicrucian connected with? Is it connected with the Anunnakis, the Natharus, the reptilians? Because from my experience, I'm gonna say this part. A lady named Arizona Wilder, you probably heard of her, and another lady named Captain O'Brien. You ever heard of Captain O'Brien? She said that the tapes are on my page on the video side. You can scroll down. It's called The Order of the Rose, part 1 through 4. I did 4 different tapes on it. And Kathleen O'Brien said that she got pulled into the Order of the Rose. And she said that, now this right here might be like I say the Luciferian infiltration part of it. Because these beings, the Luciferians do infiltrate different organizations. They infiltrate the Muslims, they infiltrate the Christians. They make everybody look bad. We pointed that out. But this was one specific group in the Order of the Rose. That's why I want to ask you about this question. Like George W. Bush, they said that he was a member, and all these government officials. But Kathleen O'Brien, if you go look her up, she was the one that said that she got pulled in as a kid, and they was doing these kid rings and stuff. They like Jeffrey Epstein, the dude that had the plane. They say he was part of the Order of the Rose. You know what I'm saying? Anybody that was on that list, like Will Smith and Obama, they said they were part of the Order of the Rose. So what fraction of that Order of the Rose is this different from the side where you talk about these good guys that's really making it good for the planet, or is this the same mentality as an extraterrestrial mentality, meaning we can take their kids and we can do whatever we want to do with them because they just like chicken? As a matter of fact, doing the underground shit, that's what they call them, like chicken and hot dogs and pizza and shit. They call them like food. So, and they said that these beings were part of the Order of the Rose. So, what is that the same? Is that the same fraction you talking about with the guys that's trying to make the world better, or is it the same? Or is that part of another fraction where they say, okay, they just humans, or they just chicken, or pizza, hot dogs? Go ahead. Could you go in on that? Or they say, bring me 10 hot dogs to the White House.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, firstly, Anybody that's a part of the Order of Rosicrucian, it goes deep. A lot of them not going to say, most of them aren't even going to say that they're a part of the order, you know, which is interesting. The same thing when it comes to Masonry, people ain't going to utter the sacred words or utter the sacreds or the mysteries. They just are told not to do that. So most people that will be a part of it, it's interesting when people really come out, unless it's like, again, it's a revelation time period where people are revealing, but most people don't come out and say that they're Rosicrucian to begin with. Another thing to remember is that the Masons, when we went over the Masons, I spoke and reminded you that just because somebody is a part of the Masons don't mean that they represent the order as a whole. You feel what I'm saying? And just because somebody walked in and did the rituals and all this other stuff doesn't mean that when they do a work that Masons do it. So when people come out and try to expose and say, oh, Masons do goat rituals, and niggas is looking around and say, who? Who does goat rituals? No, some niggas probably did that, but not every Mason does a goat ritual. As a matter of fact, the goat shit is a joke, like we broke down. So it's like this. It's the same thing with Masonry. Masonry is the oldest order on your planet. Before it was called Masonry, it was Masonry. When Tahuti was introducing the darkness into the light orders, it was Masonry, right? When you have the Rosicrucian order, which still, all this shit stem from Tahuti. This is the interesting part. Everything come from one man, right? Or one being or one group of beings that were associated to be Tahuti, all right? It all come from that particular time period. Whoever and whatever it is, once you access the light, again, you can do whatever you want to do with it. So if these people are a part of an order called Rosicrucianism, which again, I ain't never heard Obama say that. I ain't never heard none of these people come out and say they're a part of that order. What they doing don't have nothing to do with the order. You know what I'm saying? Them, if they enter all the trafficking and stuff, they don't have anything to do with the order itself. The same way you can have people who renegade or violate an VL when it comes to the organizations or what some people call gangs, all right? But they got to get DP'd or maybe going too deep. But you got certain people that's in there like, bro, they ain't representing the walk. You ain't on your square. You get what I'm saying? So I would just advise for people when it comes, I know what you're speaking about, all that conspiracy with the Jeffrey Epstein. I never get into it because like, I feel, now this is me. Let's go into it. I think they did that on purpose. I think that they put out the information with the Jeffries and the rest of the people on purpose. I think that the list that everybody was talking about with Oprah, I think they did that on purpose because it takes the attention away from the mayors. It takes the attention away from the sheriffs. It takes the attention away from the officers. It takes the attention away from the OGs in the hood. It takes the attention away from the people who are actually trafficking that you pass by every day, that are responsible for trafficking children, young girls and young boys in your own communities. Everybody focus on this one list with 17 people, all right? But you're not focusing on the fact that that shit is taking place down the street or up under your feet. You understand? Or past the creek. So I feel that they did that on purpose so that you don't investigate your governors, all right? Or call for an investigation of what's happening in the prisons. How can people come up missing? You know people go missing in the prison system, correct? You know what I'm saying? It is so much corruption that's taking place behind them walls, whereas like people ain't gonna fight or rally because they're too busy trying to figure out whether or not Jay-Z go to spirit cooking parties. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't really get into that. I hate getting into that shit because it's like, what people gonna really do about the fact that when you get an Amber Alert, you don't even get off your couch? So much you care about the children who being slaughtered. You didn't care about the child who was literally down on 285. You understand? They described the vehicle and everything. Nobody get active. So the point is, it ain't about them people. Like whatever they doing, we know they devils and they demonic. Whatever they into, no. The Rosicrucian order is speaking about whether or not you're going to take this light and do the greater works. You feel what I'm saying? Because you can expose somebody to the light. Let me get into this. When you had the Rosicrucian order back in the day, and ancient Kemet, that's what it really was originally. When you had the conductors walking people through the orders or walking through people through the pathways or the secret pathways, there were certain things that people had to do physically. It wasn't just, you sign up and now you don't watch a few YouTube videos and now you're a Rosicrucian. No, you had to literally go through shit physically. When you see the ancient Egyptian movies, when niggas got to run over lava, all right, and they got to swim in a water full of sharks, all right, and they got to swing through the air, you know what I mean? And they got to do all this other stuff. They got to dodge these boulders. That was fire, water, air, and earth. They had to go through physical tests of these elements, all right, to be able to prove their mystical devotion to the craft. You had to be able to prove that you were worthy physically. You had to have some type of tangible proof sometimes. You go in and retrieve this gem from a den of lions. You know what I mean? And if you don't make it out, you don't make it out, but you were devoted. You know what I mean? So there was a chance you didn't make it out. Nowadays, they don't have people doing it anymore. So everybody claiming that they own this and that. Man, listen, we know your soul personality. That's the key thing. Your soul personality is what we're looking at. And if you don't know what soul personality is, it's like right now, if you listening to me speak, there are certain things that I'm saying that are going to resonate with you. There are certain things that I'm saying that will not resonate with you. And as an adept myself, I know how to speak in a room full of people to the point where everybody has the equal opportunity to receive the nugget that I'm giving or the gem that I'm giving. All right. So if something in you doesn't receive me, your soul personality is lacking because you're not able to receive light. Because I'm operating as light. And remember, light is information. And if you're not able to receive that information, there's something lacking there as somebody who's able to walk into a room and evenly distribute light. You understand? So remember the key words, soul, personality. You cannot fake that. It's like energy don't lie. Vibes don't lie. I don't see Obama as a Rosicrucian. I don't see any of the people that was named as Rosicrucians. I don't see them as that. I see Malachi York as a Rosicrucian, as somebody who's a torchbearer of the greater light. You know what I mean? Someone who has the position to be a class master. Someone who can take somebody through the 9 energy points, starting with the Dantean. All right? Dantean. What does it sound like phonetically? Dante's Inferno. Stay with me. Because when you say Dantean, the word means an energy center, or another way that they said it was sea of key. QI, a sea of key. All right? And Dante's Inferno had how many circles that he had to go through of what was referred to as hell? 9. 9 chambers, 9 circles, 9 energetic points, starting with the heart or the seat of the soul. All right? You go from the seat of the soul to that crossroad, which is your seat of consciousness, all the way up to the seat of intuition. All right? You've ultimately gone through 3, 3, 3. Okay? Which gives you 9 in altogether, but it's 3 distinct levels. Okay, where you encounter different things on those levels, and he broke them down to different, sins or transgressions or missings of the marks, where people had to go through certain things, even in the Secrets of a Diaper, you hear about it, where people was in hell, you know what I mean, and the different things people were going through in hell, you find that in Dante's Inferno. All right, what was it? You had your treachery, you had you really started with the limbo. Okay, it came in with the limbo or the limbus, which I broke it down to people meant an edge. And if you see an edge, or a crevice or a precipice or a point of turning, all right, that means that before you got to that point, there had to be something that existed before that. So that's when you go from 1 to 9 and you start over at 1. All right, with me? Or you go to that edge, which will be your 0, which all of you have if you've ever been born, which you haven't born, or conceived. Your 0 point time reference is your beginning point of a new beginning, or beginning anew. All right. So starting with the limbo, you went to the limbo, your lust, your glutton, you had the gluttons, and you had the ones who was associated with the greed, the anger, or the wrath. Then you had the heresy, violence, all the way up to the fraud, and then you had the treachery. Okay, go research what I'm telling you. But these were 9 levels, 9 circles, and each of these 9 levels had people going through different things. Okay, people swimming in a river of sticks and all this other stuff. And you know what I'm saying? Some people being tortured and tormented. Some people trapped in a forest of blackness and darkness because they committed suicide. All kinds of stuff was happening. So the point is, everybody who has touched this light, you're going to do a certain work. If you're one of us already, it's in your soul. That's why these orders are here. And your soul personality is going to be activated so that you can carry out those greater works. And you can not only get yourself out of hell, you're going to reach down and pull other people out. All right, so don't ever forget Dante. What does Dante mean? When you say the word Dante or Dantean for the energy center, but when you say Dante, Dante meant something that was firm or solid, all right, or hardened. Okay, so you have rock, all right, Dante. When you say Inferno or Infernus, okay, you're saying something that was a fire or burning or a raging fire or a great fire. Okay, so if I put a fire to Dante or Inferno to Dante, I'm putting light to somebody who is solid or slow, all right, as far as their molecular structure and their vibration and their resonance. And in order to heat them up, you got to put a fire to them. Rub your hands together. Fire. You understand? And then that causes people to rise up. If you rub your hands together right now, you will literally feel the molecules in your hand, the atoms in your hand, and the energetic charge in your hand moving around. You understand? That's how you heat something up to cause it to ascend in molecular structure. You understand? So whoever these other people are, all these Oprahs, whoever you want to say, George Bush, that's supposed to be associated with the order, they're not orderly because they've done the direct opposite works of what this was all about. And they have not, with their platforms, their major platforms, chosen to lead people to the light. They're not one of us. And again, we did a whole science on masonry. They said one day he said he a Mason. Another day he said he a Rosicrucian. Another day he said he a Moor. Another day he said, listen, I can be whatever I want. That's what light does. It takes on many forms.
Right.
You know what I mean? Is it clear yet? And I know they say, well, there's no way, you're 25, you can't know all of this. The point is, I've been introduced to the sciences way long before, you know what I'm saying, they thought we were introduced to it. And I'm somebody who has the ability to retain. And I'm going to remember shit, and the experiences I go through is going to be able to be calculatable, and I'll be able to deliver it a certain way. And that's what a lot of people had an issue with me for that particular reason, because of the command in my voice, for one. But the ability to tie these knots, you know what I'm saying, bring these points together, connect these dots for people. You know what I mean? You cannot claim Rosicrucian if your soul personality is out of order. You can't say you an adept and you ain't doing the works. You can't call yourself a clairvoyant and you don't have clear vision. You can't say you're an initiate and you ain't never been inducted or walking through certain orders that show that you're going to be able to get to that point of being an adept. You know what I mean? You haven't done the works of the hands. So if they're not showing the works, they ain't one of us. That's masonry, Rosicrucianism, Nuwapian, whatever. If you ain't doing the works of bringing people toward that light, that greater light, the sun, Nuwupu, the golden light, okay, Nirvana, and you call yourself what you want to call yourself. All right, and have a great day about it.
I got a question for you, because okay, so when you join the Masons, they ask you, say you got to ask one to be one, right? We're talking over there. All right, so the Rosicrucian, how do people get a part of that? You got to be a Mason first, or do you got to be a Shriner? You got to go to a secret closet or something? And
no, so it's like, okay,
boys. Go ahead.
Yeah, you got, that's a good question. You got different degrees of the Scottish Rite. So you go to the 18th degree of the Scottish Rite, right? And you be able to access what's referred to as Masonic Rosicrucianism, all right? And you can be walked through certain chambers and certain doors. If you are a Mason, most of the time, if you've already been walked in that order, a lot of times they don't want you to merge the two because you got different opinions and different perceptions and different mystical devotions, and they want to make sure that it's pure. Whatever your walk is pure. They don't want to confuse anybody. But it's the same way. It is the same way. It's to be one, ask one. As a matter of fact, there's a whole conversation about how similar Rosicrucianism is to Masonry. Okay, but somebody has to walk you through. You have to come in contact with a class master some type of way, right? Now, the lodges, the houses, that's a whole different conversation, because now with the digital age, you got information being delivered online. You got people taking oaths online. You got people setting up their sanctum in their house. You got people making home visits, or you got secret or sacred temples. It's going to be harder to find the Rosicrucian temples. Let you know that off rip. It's easier to find a Masonic temple than it is to find a Rosicrucian temple, because it's a lot more secret, because they consider themselves to be more sacred. You know what I mean? But look at it like this. As long as you have access to a class master, even if it's online, they can still walk you through the order, because you don't have to do the physical rituals that people used to have to do thousands of years ago to become a part of the order. All you have to do is associate yourself with the same type of devotion and grand work that other people have associated themselves with. So what's a sanctum? A sanctum, it's like similar to saying a sanctuary. It's a holy place that you set up in your own home or in a temple, in a lodge, whatever it is, where you're making sure there's certain ways that they had to set it up. So in a sanctum, you make sure that the light ain't too bright. You want to make sure that it's really dim light, okay? And a lot of people wonder, why is the screen so dark? I mean, you make sure that it's dim light, okay? Why? Because you're making room for more light. You know what I mean? Intentionally. You make room for more light. So you'll have certain people walking you through certain things. There's a whole lineup. You have one person speaking and saying and reading off whatever the manifestos are, reminding you of the manifestos. And 3 manifestos, right? You got the Fame of the Brotherhood, you got the Chemical Wedding, you got the Confession of the Brotherhood. It's a lot of, but the 3 main manifestos is what you gotta remember. And they walking you through what certain elements stood for and all this other stuff. And you have certain lines, the same thing with that you can read in Malcolm Duncan, or if you're a Mason, if you remember, certain things that you're taught to say, all right, or utter, or reminded about, or do. So it's the same way. But to answer your question specifically, you have to, some way, shape, form, and fashion, come in contact with a class master. And if you can't, then you have to just do your own research. And I'm telling you, the same way with Masonry, you could become a Rosicrucian off the internet. You know what I mean? It's just that what you're really asking for is the pieces of information that allow for you to know what you talk about when it comes to Rosicrucianism. Or you can run into certain beings, adepts, people who are going to walk you through and remind you of the work, show you what it's all about. Okay, it's still going to lead you to the same realization. Oh, darkness into light. And then once you get it, then now you come out here and you can speak it and teach it. Okay, but I was walked through by adepts, personal elders who showed me step by step what this order was about, how to, you know what I'm saying, speak a certain way. And that's why you go onto my Instagram and you find certain posts that I had, older posts where I had a rose and a cross on certain captions. It's just another way to say Rosicrucian. You know what I'm saying? And I speak and say I rose up off the cross. Or in my book, I say I was born on top of the mountain. And I broke down what it meant. You know what I'm saying? Because a mountain is a pyramid. And don't forget, pyramid meant center fire. All right, so to answer your question, you got to come in contact with a class master or research this shit online. It ain't even that difficult. All right, the point is, if you don't have it in you, you ain't gonna be no Rosicrucian. You can do all the research you want to. You can go through all the rituals you want to. It ain't gonna be. You won't be able to rise up off the cross until you realize it's about servitude. Okay, that your whole purpose of becoming a Buddha to begin with, all right, is either you're gonna lead this realm or you're gonna be a bodhisattva and you're gonna use what you know, all right, to build other people up, okay, and bring them up out of hell. All right, so find class masters, okay, find adepts, get in contact with them, or do your own due diligence and search and find your way into the chambers, and you'll be let in. Okay, but remember that I told you, if they don't feel it on you, it ain't gonna happen anyway. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with the Masons. The Masons look at character. The Masons look at what are your works already. What are you doing in your community? Are you already a stand-up guy? That's what they mean, by the way. When they say stand-up guy, that's a Mason. If you're already a stand-up guy, they had a movie called Stand-Up Guys. It was about masonry. You know what I'm saying?
Well, business.
Right? Exactly, business. If you're already somebody who does that, and same thing with the sisters, even though I don't speak on the Eastern Stars because I have respect for the sisters order, right? They still look at the D's and everything. It's the same thing. You know what I mean? And if they see you, then they'll let you in. But don't get so caught up. Here's what I'll advise. All right, meaning I'm adding this to your vision. Don't get too caught up in the name, and the same thing with masonry. All right, because you'll be thinking that these people are so heavenly and holy. Man, a lot of these people be full of shit. You know what I mean? And they just be hiding behind an order or hiding behind a fraternity. No, you still got to be able to see people and test that spirit with the spirit. All right, and if you're really sincere, you already found your way. Because the first thing that's being uttered, especially when you get to that ninth chamber, the first thing that's being uttered is, yo, because you're in that sanctum, you already worthy. Because you found your way to the sanctum, you're already worthy. Because you already sanctified yourself and sanctified you already worthy. Same thing I said with the green light. What do you think the green light is about? The green light is at the crossroad. All of you are walking through the Rosicrucian order as we speak. I mean, but because you went out and got that green light, I said, what is going to be a message that you're setting off? You're already a part of the sanctum. You already set it up. All right. And you made room for information to be able to come through so you can build up to that crown. It's the same conversation over and over again. Remember, if you could just memorize even the simplest of science of visible light of Roy G. Biv, or from the nanometers of like 380 nanometers all the way up to like 750 nanometers, if you could memorize what that means, that your whole reality operates between black and white and the 7 colors in between. Okay, that's what the whole 2B1 ask 1 equaling 7 shit is. Okay, or the sacred number being 7, all right, or that G in the center is. If you can remember that, then you'll realize what the Hermeticus, how many Hermetic principles were there? 7. But if you really know, it's only one principle. They just operate differently. But it's the same principle. Rhythm is the same as vibration and mentalism and gender and cause and effect and polarity. All of that's the same thing. You feel what I'm saying? Just operate on different frequencies. You with me? So if you realize that and memorize that, everything will be able to make sense to you anyway.
Hey, I'm gonna ask you one more question, then I gotta get off because I gotta take care of something. I forgot. We already got an hour and 45 minutes. Right. So now why did they pick a rose? Like out of all the flowers they could have picked, they could have picked the lily. They said Jesus was the lily in the valley. They had all these different types of the sunflower. They could have picked any kind of flower. Why would they pick a rose out of all the plants to represent the organization? Go ahead.
What color is a rose?
Roses are red.
Okay. What color is the heart?
The heart is red.
Exactly.
Physical. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, physical heart is red. All right, that's the answer. They chose that to represent the heart being, and then once that heart is ignited, it sets off the true light, which is green.
Mm-hmm.
You understand, the anahata light, or the unstruck or the unhurt light, when you heal the self, all right, or you purify the self, you start that process of purification. But it's arose because of the heart. It's associated with the heart,
Right.
And when you rise up off that cross and you give up your ghost, then you're passing through the heart. Listen, if you go and research even what I spoke about when it comes to hara, head, heart, hara, the name Shiva in ancient Hinduism is Hara. You find Shiva is also called Hara. And who is Shiva? Shiva is a destroyer. Okay, another way to describe it, when you say Hara, it meant something, or one who takes something away. And the actual meaning of Shiva was that which is not, or the absence of something. So he's saying Shiva or Shiva, the word itself means 7. I mean, and Shiva as a destroyer was able to come in and do what was referred to as the last dance, and not only destroy, but able to yield a new world through that destruction. So what's my point here? Shiva, 7. How many points are the chakras? With the exception of the black and the white. 7.
7.
As when it pertains to Hinduism, okay, or Buddhism. So because you have already the 7 centers, or Dantein, okay, or these points that are associated with Hinduism that lead up to a part in the body, which is the heart, or that crossroad, okay, and you start realizing Jesus and Buddha are the same, or Bodhi is the same, right? They're one and the same people. Then you get that Christianity is literally streaming from Hinduism. Are you with me? So it's about the chakras. It's about the center points of the body and how it relates to what's happening outside of the body. Make sense to you? So that's why they chose it. The heart is red. And it's a reminder of the ignition of the heart. Remember that, ignition of the heart. Once you ignite your heart and that heart light comes off and radiates, then that third eye, or that first eye, that is the pineal, that's literally positioned to point and look downward inside of you, okay, starts to be able to pick up on the light that's inside of the body. It becomes an inner awareness that affects your outer reality, okay? That's why the works of the adept is knowing this. That's where you done finally you done sped up in frequency. And adepts have to know how to go into the body, literally. When people talk about go within, that's the work of an adept. And it's actually not about just going within. It's about understanding what that means to do the works without. But you have to go into the body. What does it mean? We were taught to become neuroscientists. We were taught to become biologists. Are you with me? We were taught to learn breath work. You're not just learning breath work, how your blood circulates. You understand? Which is affected by the breath. How your nerves work. All of this is being affected by the breath. That's why you hear me speak about the sympathetic nervous system, parasympathetic nervous system, the peripheral nervous system, the central nervous system. All of the things. This is Rosicrucianism. That's why I'm telling people that the scientists of today are those magicians of yesterday. The real Rosicrucian order is studying quantum physics. Right? They ain't on that same old shit. They on a whole new one. All right, go look up Brian Greene. Interestingly enough, a man named Brian Greene, someone who's the center of a lot of these conversations with all these quantum physicists, neuroscientists. Those are the ones you're looking for. They're scientists. Those are the ones who really are part of the order and doing the works. Somebody just commented CERN. Think about that. CERN got Shiva outside their headquarters in Switzerland. Why? Because Shiva had the sciences of physics and interdimensional travel, which is why Shiva is shown walking through a portal or a stargate. Are you with me? And he had all these different types of technologies, the Trishol and all of that were weapons, and you know what I mean? They put it out there for a reason. Okay, so as much as people would like to think of it as just esoteric, it goes way deeper. You have to actually become a scientist to get what it's all about. If you learn more about the body, all this spiritual shit starts making more sense. It don't make less sense. Religion starts making more sense. It doesn't make less sense. That's why I said, if you're of the chosen, religion makes sense to you. If you think we don't need religion, you ain't one of us. Because you needed it to a certain level in order for people to be able to be brought out of that darkness. You needed religion to have some type of order. Okay, that's why even when you said Sphinx, okay, or Sphinxian, like we spoke about earlier, you said something was binding. If people say religion means to bind, did you know that the Sphinx means to do the same shit? And when you say the riddle of the Sphinx, there had to be some type of degree or decree or creed. It had to be present in order for you to understand what the light was. That's what all the covenants and everything was about. Say, look, I'll tell you this, but you got to work like this. I'll give you this. I'll let you inherit this land, but you got to prove your worth. We just ain't going to give you all this shit. You got to be able to show that you ain't going to fumble it. Like with me, same reason why it ain't just easy to just walk into a lodge and say you're a Mason. They don't play about that. You know what I mean? Only thing I can say is the Rosicrucians aren't as ferocious about it. You know what I mean? You niggas walk around claiming they Rosicrucian, real Rosicrucian, they don't care. You know what I mean? Because it's like, listen, you really a Rosicrucian, you're going to do the work. Masons, on the other hand, they will get with you. They will try to see where you was hailed from, who your grandmother, all this other, you know, but the Rosicrucian, it's like, okay, cool. All right, they'll ask you certain specific things, and then, okay, what are your works? They want to know. Where's your torch? You know what I mean? Certain things they're going to ask. But the point is, if you're interested in this work, all right, then just remember that the key word is the work or the opus. And once you get the opus understood as about servitude, then you get it. What you got for me?
Hey, man, we got about 10 minutes. Hey, I want you to tell them about your 144,000 fundraiser before we get out of here. Yeah. Well, we got time. Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate that. For all the people that's been listening, thank you for tuning in. I was excited about this, bro. Like I told you, this is really one of the favorite orders to me because of the decoration, the decor. And I know it'd take more time to get into certain things. I know we left some nuggets in there. I know people can grab on to what's really being spoken of. You know what I'm saying? The great light, the magna opens, all stuff. I get it. The 144,000, when you added the 144, you get 9. You know what I'm saying? That's important because it's speaking about a frequency and it's speaking about a light that's coming off of a conductor or of the elect. And that same light is what started off with the process of the green light movement or Project Greentown, where we started to tell people, look, identify yourself as one of these elect. Okay, so 144,000 people coming together is speaking about what you could do if you cared enough to say, we're going to join to make something happen. Harmonic convergence, the keyword convergence. You join to make things happen. When we said there is power in numbers. You join to make things happen. So all I'm asking for people to do, and it's not that it's any haste on it, it's just that let's do it. If you want to support Phase One and the endeavors 2024, okay, because that's what it's about. We'll be ending it or concluding the fundraiser in April. All right. The goal is to raise 144,000 for 2024 to conclude the fundraiser by April and to carry out the works throughout the rest of that year. Yeah, it's a plan and it goes way more extensive, but that's the beginnings of it. Okay. If you want to support that, the Cash App is Play for Change, PlayForChange. I have 10 books, okay, that are also available if you want the 10 books. You send your email with the donation. There's no limit on the donation, and there's no stipulation either. You can donate whatever you want to donate, and make sure you put your email, and I'll send you the books. I know a lot of people have already gotten the books. If you haven't received your books yet, check your spam folder. Okay, that's one thing you can do. And some people DM me, and we got it handled, and they got their books. For all the people that got their books, I would ask that you leave an emoji right now, some sort, or green emoji, or green heart, something to show that you got the books. And I appreciate you. I love y'all. I thank you for the support. We ain't stopping. Things are getting better. Things are getting stronger. You know what I mean? They playing algorithmic war recently and lately. So you know how they go. So make sure that you're still supporting and sharing the posts and stuff like that, because it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And you know, again, the dragon ain't gonna like certain advances. You know what I mean? But it's what it is. So I appreciate you. And for the people that already got the books, don't hesitate to donate again. We're going to be doing this till April. Everything is adding up. I'm doing my best to just get to that higher point, right? Which where we can be on that mountain with that person with that iron rod and bring all these people together. I know the power of artists. Okay. I don't underestimate the power of an artist. I don't underestimate the power of a celebrity. Okay. So the reason why I'm going for celebrity status is for the same thing that's happening in these rooms and in these lives, the things we're doing on here, the masses get put onto it. And I've already tried and tested and proven that when you speak truth, authentic truth, all right, unadulterated truth, when you speak that to people, it resonates. Even if they don't like you, they're still going to be present. We don't need you to like me, but we do need your presence. You know what I mean? To make this work. Okay, so If you're helping me, I appreciate you. If you intend to, I appreciate you. And we're going to keep this moving. You know what I mean? I got more things in works that I'm doing. One more thing. I got this other program that I'm rolling around now called Ask, A-S-K. Okay? So just to keep it simple, if you want me to write you a letter, okay, you can send $50, all right? And again, I want to make sure this is very clear. Send $50 and ask your question and put your email, and I'll correspond with you via email. Or put your Instagram, and I'll correspond with you via Instagram. And whatever your question is, for $50, I'll write a 3-page letter, right? For $100, I'll write a 6-page letter. And for $150, I'll write a 9-page letter response. Okay, so if you have any questions about that, you can go ahead and send the donation, send 50 or 100 or 150, depending on if you want 3, 6, or 9. I do everything calculated and coded, if you know what I know, right? You can do it that way and then correspond with me via text, Instagram. I'll get your DM some type of way, or send it directly through the Cash App with the message of what your Instagram is, and I'll contact you. All right, and I speak to you, find out what the question is, and I'll write out the letter and I'll mail it to you, and then I'll also take pictures of it and send you digital copies so you'll have that as well. You understand? There's a few different things. We'll be doing other things like clothing. My whole thing is let's just run this shit up and let's hit them hard 2024. That's about election, upregulation, the genes, and electrifying the self. You understand? So that's what it is. I appreciate everybody. Look, I have no worries at all. It's war. It's what it is, but I'm not worried. You know what I mean? Listen, we get 72,000. We got 72,000. I mean, we got 50,000. We did 50,000. There's no falling short in this regard. Okay, we get 141,000, we get 200,000, 300, whatever we do, we did it. And we did it together. And we keep going. And just keep watching and see what I do. Look at what I've done already up to this point and keep watching and see what I do. I love y'all. I appreciate you.
Hey, y'all, we'll be back on when you want to do the next one, Phase on. We got Saturday is the next one.
Let's do.
We'll do all the weeks. I got a whole bunch. Go ahead.
I was saying let's do Sunday because I got some preparation for Saturday.
Well, Sunday I already got Rod set up on Sunday. And then I think so it's like I said Friday, Saturday, Monday, every other day other than that. Yeah.
Okay, so then we'll either do Saturday or Monday.
Okay, yeah, just let me know. Let's let me know. We'll do Saturday or Monday. It's gonna be the language of the elites because everybody asking about that. Then it'll go along with
language of the Illuminati. That's gonna bring them.
Yeah, that language of the Illuminati. Because he got a book on that, y'all. If y'all want to get that book, one of those books is the language of the elite.
Yep. How to Speak Elite is one of my favorite books. You got Out of the Darkness, How to Speak Elite, and Rehab. Those are my 3 favorite. And I also like How to Love Again. But How to Speak Elite, it goes deep. They break down all kinds of shit. All kind of revelations came through. And that's what I do. I sit with the pen and I just get to scrolling and strolling and it comes out. And these codes are broken and it resonates. And I'm grateful because I listen back to these teachings, y'all. I listen back to these lessons and these callings. And I'm able to learn new things because sometimes while I'm speaking, certain things are connected. Right? And I know that if that's happening for me as the one who's uttering it, then it's happening for y'all. You know what I mean? So I'm grateful for that. Because I remember growing up listening to Malachi teach, and it's like all the information and wisdom spewing out of him. And it may not mean anything to anybody that thinks that he's just a teacher, but for somebody who's growing up, hearing all these facts, as a retainer of myself, it's like, oh, no, they fucked up. Because I was picking up on all of it. And when he said, go look at something, I went and looked it up. When he said, go read something, I went and read. I said, yeah, you're right. That shit don't say that. You know what I mean? As a child. So I know. And it's not necessarily just to compare myself to Malachi. It's to say that I'm grateful for those of you who are having that experience through me, because I had that experience through Malachi. You know what I mean? So anybody who hear my voice and the things that I say and breakdowns, and even not just to repeat or regurgitate what I say, but to be encouraged to even take it further, I'm grateful for that. That's what this shit's about.
Hey, you the truth, Faise. You the truth. This your time. This your time right here. This your time. It's your time right now. So that's why we rolling it like this and we own it. We gonna be on it. We got the momentum. The ball is in our court now, man. So that they niggas gonna get down and lay down. You know what I'm saying? That's how it's going. That's how it's going. So hey, we back again. Then me and Faise finna start doing a different type of interview.
Don't even.
Yeah. But we gonna lay those because we all niggas still a lot of shit though. Hey, look,
Niggas had their pen ready. Say, wait, there you go.
Yeah, right. It was like, what are you gonna say? Oh, well, we write that down.
Mom's the word.
We're gonna be the first one to do everything, man. We said the trends right now. So like everybody gonna be chopping up.
Y'all are in for a treat. Well, he was about to put y'all on, but we gotta show y'all. Well, y'all
we're gonna do that.
Exciting stuff. That even if they try to replicate it, ain't no problem. Because like in order for you to replicate it, you gotta actually have the ability to do it anyway. So I ain't worried. But y'all gonna be in for a treat. We gonna have fun with this shit. You know what I mean? We're gonna get
cartoons coming, everything, man. I got cartoons and everything coming out. I got real animations of real people. Like the whole like the shit. Like, I'm gonna start reanimating our story, like from like the beginning, like from what I based on all the shit I collected from the beginning, right? Because really I can't think of nobody that really besides the Big Bang, but we'll get into that later. We about to get up out of here, man, because they waiting on me and now. They waiting on me and they've been waiting on me. Yeah, but we got that 2 hour mark. That's why I like to hit that 2 hour mark so it can cover a lot of stuff. But it was a lot of bangers on this tape. Hey, y'all, thank y'all for tuning in. Yeah, assalamu alaikum, shalom alaikum, hotel. Peace be unto you. Wadu.